On top of the world, this week in Boomtown, Ohio takes home a top ranking, proving why our state is #1 in America for business.
We need to do economic development a little differently, and those that stayed worked together as partnerships. We call it Team Ohio for a reason.
From top economic leaders to the governor, the Buckeye State momentum is booming.
We've been saying for a long time, Ohio's red hot.
Yeah, Ohio's just red hot, and it's our time.
Plus, Franklin County leaders releasing a new housing action plan, helping to guide renters, homeowners, and first-time buyers. But will this help our growing region? We have answers. Central Ohio is booming. We all see it, and we all can feel it. So here's what we uncovered this week in Boomtown. Well, this week, Ohio was named CNBC's #1 state for business in America, capping a years-long rise, with this being the state's first #1 finish in this annual ranking. Now, that news is now being touted by the governor, Jobs Ohio, and every major business group right here in the Buckeye State and beyond. Thanks for joining us for This Week in Boomtown. I'm Angela Ann. We're going to talk more about that new ranking and what it means for our future growth in just a minute. But let's get to your headlines first. Columbus is now launching a new program that will give residents a chance to pick which projects they want to see funded. It's called Our Voice, Our Choice Budget. As the city prepares for a population boom in the next 25 years, people can now vote on how city leaders will spend $9 million. The online suggestion is open until the end of August. Well, it looks like people in Sunbury will likely get a chance to vote on the proposed Amazon data center. The company is investing $2 billion in this, but people who live near the Vans Valley Road area say it is just too close to homes and schools. Signatures are now being certified before this issue can officially be put onto the November ballot.
One, two, three.
And the donut craze is getting sweeter in Central Ohio. Jeff's Donuts opened in Northeast Columbus this week, the first expansion for this franchise outside Kentucky and Indiana. Owners say they chose this part of the city because of its growing business vibe. Some big news this week for the state of Ohio and Boomtown. Ohio received top honors in CNBC's 2026 America's Top States for Business ranking. So that means the Buckeye State is the #1 state for business in the entire country. We are so excited to bring in JP Nassif, Jobs Ohio President and CEO. Welcome to the show and a huge congratulations on this.
Well, thanks for having me. We appreciate it. It's a good day for Ohio.
It really is. And talk about, JP, what this ranking really means for our state, but also for our future growth.
It's a big deal for a lot of reasons, but it's decades in the making. I mean, as you know, for decades, population migrated south and west, and globalism took our cord out our industry in many Ohio cities. And Ohioans, they're gritty people. They rolled up their sleeves, put elected officials in place that took a bottom 10 business climate and turned it into a top 10 business climate, created Jobs Ohio, and we went and put a lot of tough work together. The state legislature, multiple gubernatorial administrations, and we've moved over 30 spots since 2011.
Which is incredible when you think about that. I mean,
it is.
Obviously this did not happen overnight. So do you feel like, 15 years ago, like you said, when Jobs Ohio was created, this was the vision, this was that benchmark that we were striving for?
Well, I think the people that didn't leave, that stayed here, including the business community and others like you and me and people that work here, we were not satisfied with the status quo. And I think that goes to Ohioans' culture. We always build on things. We still build, but we improve, we innovate, we create. And this is like an innovation and economic development. But it's really about Ohioans locking their arms and saying, hey, we're not going to be satisfied with our industries leaving and our population leaving. So we need to diversify our economy. We need to do economic development a little differently. Those that stayed worked together as partnerships. We call it Team Ohio for a reason. This kind of business requires collaboration and trust, and Ohioans did that, and it's great to be recognized. But whether we're number 1 or number 5 or number 20, we're going to keep doing the work, we're not going to stop, and we have to stay where we are. So we're going to double down and keep working at this.
So this ranking from CNBC also looked at some factors, right? Like what got us this ranking compared to other states. They said we have more than 143 million people who live within a day's drive of Ohio. So that's a coup for us. And that means better access for many of the companies. What else do you think got us to this number 1?
Well, location advantage is important, right? Because we build things, and those goods and services that we put together are shipped and sent. And if you're close to the population and the economic centers of the industrialized world, which are many of them in North America, we become a great location for that. But then if you have a diverse workforce that we have, we also rank number 1 in affordability. We're able to do that in a cost-effective way for companies across many industries. So again, when you're offshoring your industry, that's one thing, but when we're building things back here in Ohio, we need to have great infrastructure where we can distribute goods at a reasonable cost, and that's one of the many things Ohio has to offer. Great infrastructure, great location, great affordability, great workforce, but it's really the workforce and the culture of the people that live here.
We're going to dive more into that, but for people who are not in the business world, right, the world that you and I live in day to day, what does this mean? How does this translate then to the everyday person when it comes to jobs, growth, and even the construction that we're seeing out there?
Well, over time, this is a long game. This is not a short game. We're not one and done people in Ohio. We do things for the long term that are resilient and durable. So this has come in a matter of decades, and so the recognition as the number 1 state for business is a recognition of that great work that's been done. Again, the legislature working with the administration to make our business climate great, Ohio workers adapting their skills, but it's also a leading economic indicator for what is going to happen in the future. Getting this number 1 ranking, we were already on the map in a lot of business to business. We've been winning as a state great deals, a great investment, but this now gets a lot of amplification, and for the site location community and for real estate executives that look for states that are competitive for business, this will give us more looks, more quality looks, and the quality of our business development pipeline will improve, and we'll see more business coming in, more investment coming in that creates more high quality jobs, better quality of life, and that's the virtuous cycle that Ohioans expect and deserve.
It's kind of that transition property. A plus B will equal C at some point. Just this week, there was a new study, JP, that came out. I'm sure you saw it. It looked at the growth challenges that we're facing, and the study warned that massive growth will bring some severe strains in 2050. So I think we have some of the findings from that. It showed that a critical shortage in housing would come in 2050. We have a growing need to fund senior care as our population ages. Also, the expected workforce disruptions coming from AI, that's a huge talker. And another one, JP, where they said we need to find local resources that can actually support not only the growth, but the people who are coming. So I ask you this because I know that your job is to promote the growth in the state of Ohio. As you do that, how are you looking at whether or not we can handle that growth with our resources? How are we keeping up with that demand? Because some people say the math doesn't add up.
Well, this is an issue across the industrialized world, is having the right talent with the right skills at the right time for this investment. And so I would say the same thing about Ohio culture of our elected leaders at every level, local, state, federal, and our ability to effectively collaborate on economic development. So the same way we've collaborated, again, to get our business climate in shape and to focus and diversify our economic development to get to this point, we're doing the same thing now to make sure our workforce is configured in the right way, that Ohioans, more of them stay here. There are more training programs that develop upskilling and certifications that the industries of today need, like technicians. We did a study in 2018, Jobs Ohio did before my time here, that showed there would be a gap of over 500,000 of the skilled trades and STEM-related talent. Over half of those are in the technician space, the people that are in their building, adjusting the robotics and the software that makes advanced manufacturing work. And you may have seen that we announced, Jobs Ohio, and Governor DeWine announced an experiential learning initiative, a $300 million investment. One of many initiatives going on to make sure we are investing the same way we do in an economic development to make sure that workforce is ready and that Ohio can deliver on its promises to industry and, more importantly, to Ohioans that want those great jobs.
So when you talk about Team Ohio, then JP, that Team Ohio is more than just the business leaders and CEOs. It's also looking at all these other parts that have to make that complete pie.
We're in the boat together.
Yeah.
So it does require great leadership, and Governor DeWine, Lieutenant Governor Trestle, former Lieutenant Governor John Husted, our regional partners, the state legislature, the county commissioners, the mayors, we all work together in the configuration that the state of Ohio has to come up with the programs that are going to help Ohioans. In the case of workforce, it's to make sure we're working with the regional and local institutions so they have the programs they need to upskill and train the workforce.
CNBC also talked about our readiness, our market readiness when it comes to maybe the sites that are ready for redevelopment. I think they cited $175 million already earmarked for these sites that are ready to go. What are you looking for when you reach out to companies and pitch Ohio and say, we're ready, we've got the site, come on in? Like, who are you looking for?
Well, we're focused on tradable industry sectors. And those are sectors that can be anywhere, regardless of population growth. So if we're competing with another state for an advanced manufacturing company that could go south, they could go out west, it could go somewhere else in the Midwest, we're going to compete for it. If it's going to be there because of population growth anyway, Jobs Ohio is not likely to get involved. But what we hear repeatedly from the site locators that are seeking out these states to locate these businesses, we're hearing they're looking for talent. They're looking for a site that's ready to go. And that means it's got access to transportation infrastructure, to water, to the right kind of power and energy. And Ohio is an energy dominant state. And it's looking for those things. It's also looking for incentives, but those typically are not at the top of the list. And so Ohio delivers a best value fit. And most of the time we don't have the richest deal for incentives, but we have the best value fit. And as you might have heard the governor say this morning, we follow through. And it's because we work together as a team. The state, the federal, the congressional delegation, our local communities, our regional partners, we work together as a team to make sure we just don't work hard to get the company here, but we work with them to make sure they're successful once they get here with zoning and regulatory support and finding the talent that they need to be successful.
That's something we actually heard from Palmer Luckey when we talked to him here a few months back, where he talked about being a true partner with the state of Ohio, where he didn't just bring Anderville and build Arsenal 1, but when he came back to visit, he was like, oh, you did that already? Oh, you already have the utilities in place? Okay, well, I'm happy. And that's that partnership that I think companies that we're hearing are looking for. So when we talk about Anderville, the big names, Amgen, Intel, and all the other bigger companies in other parts of the state, when can we expect that next big name to drop?
So hats off to Ohioans, right, for collaborating and working together. It's just a great place to live and work. And
down to the local levels,
yes,
too.
Yes, it's a welcoming state. That's what we all love about it. And again, over the years of all the out-migration and the globalization, people forgot, and we developed this brand, unwarranted rust belt or flyover. And so now that people and businesses are coming back, they're seeing what we've seen all along. It's just great people. So our pipeline is filled with high-quality leads across multiple sectors. And I think you can expect to see some great announcements over the next 2 quarters from Ohio.
None that you're willing to take out of your pocket right now and name just yet.
Well, I mean, the great thing about being a private entity, again, one of the things that provides us with a competitive advantage over other states is, we enter into non-disclosure agreements with the companies we work with, and that way they can feel safe to work with us as they're sharing this private information about their company. We're not going to share it with their competitors or with the financial markets until they're ready to share it. And so that allows us to be competitive and at least this year, the #1 state in the country for that kind of business.
I'd be remiss if we didn't talk data centers. Do you want to talk data centers?
I'm happy to hear your question.
Yes. Obviously, data centers contributed to the boom here in Ohio around the state. I think they said we have about 200 now throughout the state of Ohio. Given the pushback, though, that you've seen in the past year, how do you see data centers affecting us and this growth? Because so many municipalities are now saying, hold up, not just yet.
Well, Jobs Ohio hasn't incentivized the data center development, I think, since 2015. So we have not incentivized them, but they have had an impact, a positive impact by the infrastructure investment that they provide, and even the branding awareness that they provide and the type of people that they bring here. It started, I think, a flywheel long ago, 15 years ago, that helped put Ohio on the map. And I think you heard the governor today, articulate that he's positive about their impact, but I think there's question and public debate on how much they're paying and investing in the local communities and in the state when they come here. I think it's a fair debate to have, but we're not involved in investing or incentivizing data centers. We do get involved in connecting dots as they're looking for various different partnerships, but it's a debate that's happening in Ohio, and it's a good constructive debate that's going to continue likely for several months, if not more.
Yeah. I'll end with this, JP. There are a lot of states that are trying to catch us and maybe catch up. So how are we staying ahead of the game, and what are we doing maybe differently than what the traditional pitches are saying?
So that's a multi-layered question. I'll just say, we got a great country. We're not haters on the other states. We're not. Maybe one state. But, it's a great country with great states. I'm sure you have family in a lot of different places. So do I, and friends, and we travel a lot to those places. But Ohio has a competitive position as well. And our job is to make sure we optimize that position for our state. And so, again, the advantage we have of being private and having a team that we bring from the private sector to what we do that represents and has experience in those tradable sectors that we're working with. We're really able to evolve and adapt as the global economy evolves and adapts. So we work on a rolling 5-year strategic plan that we're constantly monitoring so we can make tweaks and adjustments on where we invest, what companies we invest in, what industries we invest in. So I'll say that team and that machine is going to continue to work to optimize Ohio's competitive position in the marketplace. And our job now is, we want to be pleased with the recognition we've received as the #1 state for business in America, but we can't be satisfied, and we can't sit back. We have to stay there and continue to set the bar, not only in Ohio, but for our Midwestern partners and for the rest of the country. We're just going to keep leaning in.
And that's what unstoppable looks like, if you look at Ohio, right?
Just like the football team.
#1 all the way.
Absolutely.
Congratulations again,
Thank
JP
you.
Nassif with Jobs Ohio. So glad to have you with us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, we know with any boomtown across America, housing is nearly always a challenge. This week, we talked with 2 leaders from Franklin County about a plan to help Central Ohioans find affordable housing. Here's what we learned during a conversation on The Big Picture.
We're seeing massive amounts of growth. We have to have places to put all these people. So when it comes to this housing action plan, what is really the plan behind it? What is Franklin County intending to do with it?
As you noted, Franklin County is a growing community of 1.4 million residents and growing. And housing is a key economic development issue. Housing supports individuals, jobs are linked to housing. General well-being is linked to housing. Housing is a key to everything within this community. So we wanted an action plan that was focused on supporting renters, when given the number of colleges and universities that we have, and young families that are renters. And we want to also in this plan expand home ownership so that individuals are able to, when the time is right, to gain equity, because that's another key plank of housing. Housing is one of the first ways that families can build equity and wealth.
Yeah, and we mentioned that because to buy a house in Franklin County is incredibly expensive right now. I mean, you're looking at $350,000 plus. It's, for a lot of people, out of reach. How does this plan intend to address that?
Well, thank you for that. What we recognize through this plan is that housing and wages go together. We understand that housing isn't just about supply, it's about the demand that is also necessary for individuals to be able to earn. and be able to then sustain themselves. And so what we plan to do as a part of this effort is also focusing in on economic mobility, true economic mobility strategies that will ensure that the wages that people are earning are livable wages based on market conditions, based on market rates. What we also understand is that employers need workers, and workers need a place to live. It's that simple. And so we're talking about basic social determinants of health. And we know that, of course, housing is the foundation. But of course, for us to be able to sustain it, we have to make sure that people are accessing the wages that are necessary and needed.
I'm reading here, your plan has actionable steps and measurable metrics. I think
Yes.
that's pretty important, just
Yes.
because I think about my life 5 years ago, and sure, maybe if maybe I'd be able to buy a house now if everything stayed the same as it was, but I imagine 5 years from now it's going to be totally different. So how important is it? How will things adjust to fit that growth?
Absolutely. And so this is a working plan, and it's, again, an action plan for a reason. These are going to be steps that we know that there's going to be some trends that change and some needs that develop, but we want to be able to stay ahead of the curve rather than behind, and making sure that we're meeting the mark based on what we know the data is telling us about our community. And most importantly, listening to our residents and those who are impacted by this housing conundrum that we're in. There are so many stakeholders across the continuum that helped us develop this plan, from our residents to our developers to those who are investing in this space. And we want to make sure that as we go forward through collective impact, that we go forward together in that vein, so that way we're hitting all of the cylinders as we move forward.
And, one thing that is kind of unique about this housing action plan is that it's also engaging employers rather than, we typically talk about investors, developers, but this also includes employers. How are we engaging those folks in this conversation?
Well, we are going to have employers when they look at site selection, they look at the availability of safe, affordable housing. So we are going to be at the table with prospective employers, and they will see, because that's why we're happy to be here today, highly publicize this plan, and it will be a living, breathing action plan. At Franklin County, doing things is in our DNA. We don't like to just sit and look at reports. We want to take action.
Yes.
We want to, be able to go to employers and say, in the last 2 years, we've created X number of units of housing. Within 5 years, this is our goal. Come to Franklin County, make it a home, and you can be a part of this. Because we need mixed income housing. We need density. We need people to change their mindset about living close to each other. You talk about the missing middle, where you talk about townhouses and duplexes. Duplexes are a great way. We talked about building generational wealth. You can live in one side and lease out the other side, and in effect build double equity in your sleep. Yeah. That's correct. One of the beauties of home ownership, why everyone should aspire for it, because it is truly a way where you're gaining equity without the sweat of daily working. Your property itself gains equity.
And you bring up townhouses. I live in one that was built in that post-war boom when Columbus expanded immensely, but current codes, up until recently, don't really allow for that kind of development. I mean, Columbus is taking a look at that, but is that also something that Franklin County is encouraging other municipalities to take a look at, whether that be Hilliard, Grandview Heights, Upper Arlington, to go, maybe we start allowing this again?
Absolutely. And I think that goes back to this being a living, breathing document, as our county administrator stated, because we understand that policy change and regulatory changes are going to need to move with us, right? There are some things that have just been historically restricted or a little bit more challenging to achieve. And so as a part of this plan, we want to be the voice in that, because this is truly a multi-generational approach, right? We're looking at not just low to moderate income families, we're looking at our young professionals, our seniors, our first responders, our teachers. There are so many people that are mixed into why we have to move all of the pieces of the puzzle in order for this truly to be successful and us to see the results that we want to see by 2030.
When it comes to, visual impacts of this, because people are going to, kind of want, what can I see? What is tangible of this? Where, in the county can you already see the effects of something like this?
I'm glad you asked that question. The other thing that we've been doing as a county, while this plan was being conceived, we were still working with willing affordable housing developers to create housing. Go no further than just outside of I-670, and you see the former Sawyer Towers.
Yes.
That will be the largest, upon its completion, it will be one of 3 projects that will bring over almost 1,300 units of affordable housing in Franklin County. High quality, sustainable, and safe housing.
Yes.
And we have various other projects that has been approved by the Franklin County Board of Commissioners over the last several years from our conveyance fee receipts.
I think another unique factor of this that factors in is the close working partnership with the land trust or the land bank.
Yes.
That is, because they have a really unique approach
Yes.
to home ownership and using some lots that otherwise have not been utilized.
Yeah. And so we wanted to, again, make sure that this was a plan that was inclusive as possible of all of the mechanics that we currently have that we can scale, right? And then being able to develop new from that. So a lot of this is going to be taking that existing land that's publicly owned that we know we can make some movement with, while also understanding the importance of preservation. So to our point about the Sawyer Towers project and other scattered sites that we're looking to rehab and preserve into making it into new affordable housing, the land bank will very much be walking with us along this path, so that way we can make sure that anything that we currently have available to us is being actualized and realized to its maximum capacity. And that is the goal. That is the goal, to really just take stock in what we are doing, what we do have available to us, while developing, creating more innovation around what we need.
All right. Kenneth Wilson and Rochelle Pride, thanks so much for joining us here on The Big Picture. Great to find out more about that project, and look forward to seeing how it progresses.
Well, Boomtown isn't just about cranes and construction. It's about bringing new life to the places people love. Well, after sitting empty for months, the former Milestone 229 space right along the site a mile right here, well, it is now called Amara, a new Mediterranean restaurant from Columbus chef Josh Dalton. This new concept brings some fresh energy to one of downtown's signature riverfront locations, with dinner service first and then lunch planned later this summer. City leaders say filling high-profile spaces like this one is another sign of momentum as downtown Columbus continues to grow and attract new investment. Well, we do know growth comes with its challenges and the growing pains, and there are solutions. So we do want to hear from you. Just text us 614-460-3345. If you're watching us on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe. You can always drop a question right there in the comment section as well. We do want to thank you for watching This Week in Boomtown. I'm Angela Ann. We'll see you again next week.